Caution to you, that feeling, the wild, alive energy of taking a chance on yourself can be addictive. Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Hi, I'm Wendy. This episode is for you if you've been feeling that pull towards something bigger but find yourself frozen at the starting line. Whether you're just starting out, navigating midlife, or wondering what your next chapter could look like, this conversation is for you. Today I'm breaking down how to take that first bold step, even when your inner critic is screaming at you to stay in your comfort zone. Have you ever felt that pull to do something new, but fear or doubt held you back? I have many times, and as I imagine this, I can feel that simultaneous thrill and terror of standing at the edge of something daring and new. What I've learned through the years of pushing my boundaries is something surprisingly simple. My gut wisdom is almost always right, and when I say right, I mean perfectly aligned with my core values, while my brain's fear-based warnings are often wrong. For too long, I had it backward, giving those suppressing and protective brain messages more authority than my intuition. Here are a list of fears that show up when we're about to take a bold step. See if any of these sound familiar to you. Fear of failure, and it sounds like, what if I embarrass myself? Or fear of the unknown. What if I can't handle what comes next? Or fear of rejection. What if they laugh at me? Or fear of outgrowing relationships. What if my friends can't relate to me anymore? And fear of change. What if I lose what I currently have? If you're anything like me, some of these fears are all too familiar. Here's the game changer I want you to remember. Everyone experiences these fears. The difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to feel the fear and take action anyway. In the last episode, I promised to share some of my own bold steps, including the ones that didn't go as planned. Because the first step doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be forward. It's about triggering those emotions and figuring out how to move beyond. Forward builds momentum for the next step. A couple of years ago, I chose bold as my word of the year and North Star. Little did I know that one word would lead me to apply for a TEDx talk, something that intrigued and terrified me. When the application process opened, my stomach literally did flip-flops. But instead of listening to my brain's protective warnings and potential rejection and embarrassment, I listened to that tiny, excited whisper saying, "What if?" I sat down, completed the application, and hit submit. Now, the whole process of filling out the application took a couple of days to nail down what I was offering and secure personal references. But I stayed on course and then hit the button, the quote-unquote no turning back button. Honestly, I felt like I had just lit my hair on fire. What a rush it was to do something so daringly bold. I mean, this was completely out of my comfort zone, and it totally came from my word of the year that pushed me forward. If you know what a TEDx talk is and you've watched some speeches, you probably can relate to my story and how scary and bold my action was that day. After hitting the submit button, I literally got up from my desk and ran through the house hollering and jumping excitedly, waiting for my husband to ask what had happened. It was a mix of excitement and nerves that needed to be released. I was thrilled with my ability to push through my fear and believe in myself on what felt like a huge dare. Caution to you, that feeling, the wild, alive energy of taking a chance on yourself can be addictive. It's true. Sometimes I need another adrenaline hit like that moment. Now for the plot twist. I didn't get selected. When I opened that rejection letter that arrived months later, I felt two things simultaneously. One, relief. No speech to stress about. And two, immense pride. Because regardless of the outcome, I faced my fear and chose courage. The truth is, the journey taught me more than the outcome ever could. Between application and rejection, I immersed myself in learning everything about TEDx talks. I checked out every book about how to prepare for this event at my library. Each book I read made me question my audacity, but I kept going, building skills I never would have developed otherwise. Nothing can substitute for the growth that comes from sticking your neck out. And this is the truth I want you to hear. The first step doesn't have to lead to immediate success. It just has to be forward, because forward motion creates momentum for whatever comes next. Why does that first step feel so impossibly hard? It's simple. When you stand at the decision point of embracing something new, your fears are at their loudest. Your protective brain is working overtime to keep you safe, which really means keeping you the same. So don't let safe keep you stuck. Think about it this way. Your brain is like an overprotective parent whose danger warnings are stuck in your childhood. Don't talk to strangers was great advice when you were 5. But at 35, networking with strangers could transform your career and your life. These outdated protection mechanisms show up as perfectionism, and it sounds like, if I can't do it flawlessly, why try? Or imposter syndrome, and it sounds like this. Who am I to think I could do this? And catastrophizing, it sounds like this. If this goes wrong, my entire life will fall apart. The breakthrough comes when you recognize these thoughts for what they are, outdated, protective mechanisms, not accurate predictions of the future. Each time you take action beyond your fear, it breaks down a little bit more as your confidence and momentum build. So don't worry, I'll help you find your right next step. Just like many things in life, the lesson sounds so easy, like take a step forward outside of your comfort zone. And yet there is so much to navigate inside your body as it reacts to your out-of-the-box thinking. But that's a lesson too. The less energy you give to the thought of doing something bold and new and just doing it, the quicker you will build momentum and resiliency on your new path, and the less response time for your body and brain to help you shrink. The hardest part? It's deciding which step to take first. Here's the process I use and recommend to help you identify your next daring move. 1. First, follow your energy. And by that I mean pay attention to what makes you light up when you talk about it. What causes both fear and excitement? The intersection of fear and magnetic pull is where your next growth spurt begins. And if your dimness is coming from your job or career, it doesn't automatically mean you need a drastic change. Sometimes it's a sign that your weekly routine lacks variety. It could be as simple as blocking out time for something that excites you outside of your normal schedule, like a hobby, a creative project, or even a new social circle, or investing time with those that you care about. Diversifying your activities can bring back energy and enthusiasm in ways you didn't expect. Second, make it tiny. Most of us try to leap too far, too fast. That vision is too scary because it's too big. This applies beyond career pivots. Think of things like fitness goals, social confidence, or creative pursuits? What's the smallest possible version of your daring move? For my TEDx Talk vision, it wasn't becoming a famous speaker. It was quite simply submit one application. I didn't want to look too far into the future or the fear would grow. Keep it simple. Make it tiny. Third, connect to your core values. When a step aligns with your values, what matters most to you, fear loses some of its power. Values evolve over time, so revisiting them periodically helps ensure alignment. My speaking application coincided with my values of connecting with others and sharing meaningful ideas. And fourth, test it with your body. To do this, close your eyes and visualize taking this step. Does your body feel constricted, as in pure fear? Or does it feel expansive with some nervous energy, which means growth opportunities? Your physiology knows the difference and will help you transform and align with who you are meant to become. Intuition isn't just a gut feeling, it's a real physiological response you can learn to trust. And here's an actionable tip for you today. Think of one daring action you could take today that excites you, just a little. That's your next daring step. And don't be fooled, we certainly build momentum through these small steps. When I applied for that TEDx talk, I had to silence my inner critic and get to work. I started by sharing my goal with a few close friends that I trusted and asking if they would be references. Saying it out loud to each of them was a brave step, trust me, but their genuine support fueled my momentum to finish the application. Once I applied, something shifted. Each subsequent speaker application became easier. What had once felt impossible slowly became my new comfort zone. Applying for speaking opportunities and believing in myself became my new normal. This is how courage works, not through giant leaps, but through consistent small steps that expand your comfort zone inch by inch. Your nervous system actually begins to recalibrate with each brave choice. Those physical sensations like a racing heart, butterflies, sweaty palms, and even feeling sick, they'll gradually transform from signals of danger to familiar companions of growth. Here are a few small actions that will create massive momentum for you. 1. Share your intention with one supportive person. And remember, not everyone deserves to hear your dreams. 2. Schedule the thing you've been procrastinating and say yes to an exciting opportunity. This could be a class you've been wanting to take, a meeting you've wanted to attend. Maybe it's an uncomfortable conversation with somebody that can help you start on your journey. 3, take a skill building step towards your bigger goal, like my deep dive into reading all about how to prepare for a TEDx talk. 4, look for evidence that you're more capable than you think. I call this the courage log. Get out a piece of paper and quickly list at least 10 things that you can look back on in your life where you can't even believe that you did something and showed so much courage. And then continue adding to that courage log as time goes on. Keep it handy for those times when you're feeling dim. And 5, create visual triggers that remind you of your commitment. So I created a little piece of artwork, very little, on Canva, and I put it on my phone backgrounds. And the word was simply bold to remind me every time I looked at my phone to stop shrinking and to start doing big things. You're here listening to this podcast for a reason. Something inside you is ready to step into more. And I'm right here cheering you on, sharing these insights so you can ignite your spark and feel the excitement of what's possible. Remember, momentum builds confidence, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel confident before taking action, but confidence actually comes from taking action despite uncertainty. Did you know it's empowering to work with, not against your fear? One of the biggest misconceptions about courage is that brave people don't feel afraid. The truth? They're often terrified. They've just developed a different relationship with their fear, and they've surrounded themselves with supportive, inspiring people who reassure them of their potential. It's important to remember that when you compare yourself to others who are doing what you aspire to do, you're likely seeing the result of years of practice. If they've been doing something for a year, 2 years, or longer, of course they make it look easy. But I guarantee they didn't start out looking that smooth. Ask them how they began, and chances are they'll be more than happy to share their story and help you get started. They probably have some valuable tips to help you skip a few steps. Let's face it, fear isn't going anywhere. The key is learning to move with it rather than letting it paralyze you. Here are a few strategies to help you overcome your fear. The first one is name your fear specifically. Maybe it's something like, I'm afraid of looking foolish. Well, it's easier to work with that than vague anxiety. Also, by naming your fear, you bring it out of the shadows and reduce its control. The next one is thank your fear for trying to protect you by saying something like this out loud. I appreciate you trying to keep me safe, but I've got this. And the third one is to reframe it. Shift your thoughts from what if I fail and ask, what might I learn even if this doesn't work out? And 4 is visualize past courage. Recall a time you did something scary and survived and thrived. 5, practice self-compassion, telling yourself something like this. This is hard and that's okay. Many people would feel afraid in this situation. 6, take action anyway. The more you act, despite your fear, the less control it has, and the more comfortable you'll become contradicting it. When fear creeps in, remind yourself, this is normal. And remember what's on the other side of that fear, the daring, authentic version of you who's ready to shine. When doubt whispers, who are you to do this? Answer confidently, who am I not to try? So here's your challenge for the next 24 hours. First, identify one step that would move you towards something meaningful. It should feel slightly uncomfortable. 2, break it down to its smallest possible version. 3, schedule it in your calendar with a specific time. 4, tell one supportive person about your commitment. 5, take the one step. And 6, afterwards, document how it felt and what you learned about yourself and how your body responded. It will help you for your next step. Remember, the goal isn't perfect execution, it's simply taking action. Even a wobbly step forward builds more momentum than perfect planning with no action. Well, thank you for joining me today. Here's the key takeaways from our episode today. Your sign to take the bold step. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Here's what to remember from today's episode. Fear is normal. Action makes the difference. Everyone feels fear before a big move. The difference between staying stuck and growing is taking action anyway. Start small, build momentum. Your first step doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be forward. Small steps create momentum, making the next ones feel easier. And follow your energy. Trust your intuition. Pay attention to what excites you, even if it also scares you. Your intuition knows the way, even when your brain tries to keep you, quote unquote, safe. The gap between who you are and who you're capable of becoming is bridged by daring steps, not perfect ones, just forward ones. It might feel scary, but it will always be worth it. Just like my TEDx rejection letter reminded me, outcomes matter far less than the person you become through the courageous action. Each brave choice strengthens the muscles that make the next challenge easier. I want to hear about your brave steps. Share them on social media with hashtag #DimToDaring and tag me. I read every single one, and you might just inspire someone else to take their own brave action. And speaking of bold actions, stay tuned for our next exciting episode where I'll be sitting down with our very first guest, an inspiring woman who's as dedicated to helping others succeed as she is to achieving her own next great personal achievement. She's no stranger to making daring, bold moves in her life, and you won't want to miss it. Until then, remember, you are meant for more, and that more begins with one daring step forward. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. It means the world to me that you tuned in today. I can't wait to meet you back here for the next episode and our very first interview. And until then, keep daring, keep growing, and keep shining. Be sure to check the show notes for links and resources. And remember to take daring steps to shed your dimness and ignite your full potential. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet, you're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.